All right. Hello, students. This is Mr. C of Mr. C's Homeschool Music Academy. Welcome back, high schoolers. Okay, so this is for 9th grade, 11th grade, 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, and 12th grade. Okay, it's time for your lesson. We're going to continue with, or really continue. I would say, I know we were cut off last week. Okay, last week we had I had some technical difficulties. I was even saying it while this was happening. Kept getting a pop-up message that that the Wi-Fi was unstable and that I might be disconnected somehow. And so I kept trying to be vigilant of that, and it still cut me off. So you guys didn't get to see the entire video last week. It only showed up until a certain point. So I am going to redo that lesson. Let's put it this way. I'm going to definitely redo this lesson. Okay, and this time also, I also noticed that I was trying to go a certain way by letting you view my manuscript book, okay, while I wrote everything down. Okay, so that just kind of teaches me that I really need to actually keep doing everything on the board. So I decided to get out the old whiteboard, and we're going to definitely continue with that lesson. Okay, well, I'll actually again redo that lesson as we were trying to get that done. But again, as I was cut off, for some fluke, by some fluke thing with the Wi-Fi connection. Well, here we are, and we're going to redo that lesson. Okay, please make sure, high schoolers, that you have your manuscript book, notebook, definitely a pencil with a good eraser. Have that ready. You're going to take a lot of notes when it comes to this, okay, as we've always been doing. And we're going to continue by learning to use the treble and bass clef formulas that you guys have learned in the previous videos. By using those formulas, we're going to learn how to read those notes quickly whenever we see them. Okay, so please again have those materials ready, and it is time for the jingle. So here we go, everyone. If you know the jingle, sing along. Time for school, time for music, time to learn together, we can do it. Learning is fun with Mr. C. And learning is fun, everybody. So it is time to do our lesson. Also, as for people who might be new to watching this, we always start off with a hymnal. Okay, so the hymnal today, we've actually done this in the past. It's called "Oh Paradise." Okay, this is an old hymnal, and if you would like, please make sure you go onto a Google search engine right now on your tablet, your phone, or another page on your computer. Just type in on the Google search engine "Oh Paradise" and spell O with just a capital letter O. Okay, it's not OH, but it's just O. Okay, and then Paradise. Type in lyrics, and those lyrics will pop up. Okay, but we always start off our lesson with with the hymnal, a sing along with the hymnal, praising God for everything that He's given us, and then we get right into the core of our lesson. Okay, but not only that, it is time for the personal shout out for today. Okay, by the way, I want to tell everybody, if you are interested in having your name put on a personal shout out, please comment right now. Just type in your first and last name, and I will use that, name for your personal shout out. There's no need to go into the details or anything of the video or anything like that. I encourage everybody to comment right now. You can just comment. It is open for comments. So if you would like your name in this personal shout out right now, please type it in. Okay. Otherwise, I'm going to pick the person who gets a personal shout out for today in my little jingle, and drum roll, please. Okay, I should say ukulele roll. That person today will be for Melina Coelho. Melina Coelho, this is your personal shout out. So here it is from me to you. Let's say hi to Melina Coelho. Let's do some music with Melina Coelho. Let's get together with Melina Coelho. Let's go have some fun. And that was for Melina Coelho. Everybody give her a round of applause, everybody, for Melina Coelho. Okay, that was from me to you. I hope you liked it. And once again, everybody, I encourage you that if you would like your name on the next personal shout out, please comment below right now so that the next time I have a class, I will be able to add you to my little jingle, my little personal shout out there. Okay, but take a look at the details of the video for other things, such as private lessons from me. Okay, I do it via FaceTime, so my contact information is in the details of this video. So take a look at that. If you are interested in getting private lessons via FaceTime, okay, please contact me as soon as you can. Also, look for patreon.com/Mr. C's Homeschool Music Academy, where you can become a member of the academy and get many benefits, such as especially for those homeschooling parents who would like to up their game when it comes to teaching skills, okay, things like that. I do coaching in that sense, and for would-be private music teachers who want to earn another income, okay, I have details on how to get that, on how to get coaching from Mr. C's Homeschool Music Academy. I do provide that. Look in the details regarding that information and find out how you can become a member of patreon.com/Mr. C's Homeschool Music Academy for just $1. You can become a member and get those benefits. Find out more in the details below. Okay, everybody, but let's get right into it. Now it's time to do some stretching. We are going to sing a hymnal. So let's make sure that we are sitting up nice and straight, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. We are going to, again, have that posture. It has to be really good, okay? Shoulders relaxed, and let's everybody raise our arms up into the sky as high as you can. Raise it. Feel that stretch in the lower back. All right. And everybody let it drop, and everybody rotate those shoulders. Roll those shoulders back, and feel that nice massage in the shoulder blades. Everybody roll them forward. Okay, and now everybody rotate the necks in a circle very slowly. Okay, these are great stretches for the vocal cords, as I've mentioned before. Everybody rotate in the other direction. Okay, and everybody look all the way up. Look all the way down. Look all the way to your right, and all the way to your left. And shrug your shoulders and hold. And drop them down. Once again, another shrug and hold. And drop it down. And everybody put your arms out in front of you and start opening and closing your hands. Okay, just get that blood flowing. Okay, and now everybody squeeze and hold it, and shake it out. Shake them out, shake them out. Okay, take a deep breath in through your nose, out through your mouth. One more deep breath in. Deep breath out. And we're good. Let's get going, okay? So the song, the hymnal that we're going to sing, hopefully you were able to get those lyrics handy. It's called "O Paradise," okay? And this is an old hymnal. We've done this before in the past. You probably slightly recall it, but again, if you haven't practiced it or anything like that, then you have those lyrics in front of you. Now, "O Paradise" is such a wonderful reminder of what God has in store for his people, and which I pray every day that I am part of his family, that I am one of his chosen people, and can be in paradise with him. And so this wonderful song that I look at, that those lyrics in itself is such a reminder of the promise that he gives his people, for everlasting life. And that song just is just so fantastic, so wonderful to really think about. Okay, as we think about our futures, and as you high schoolers, definitely, I know that you guys think about your futures all the time. Okay, especially with situations that are what they are around the world right now, in this country, in the country of the United States, and everywhere else. It's a big burden on the shoulders, and so God definitely, and with this song, if we're always thinking about God, right, praising him, we definitely could be at ease about anything that pertains to future things and what's going to happen. How are you going to choose your career? What are you going to do in college? Are you going to go to college, or are you going to take a break before you go to college? Things like that. Are you going to enter the family business? Are you going to work? All of those things. God can definitely ease the mind with that, and that's a big reason. This particular song is a very big reason why I do hymnals, because I know what it was to be in high school, and I know every day how I'm always thinking about the future. I have a family to support. I'm always thinking about that stuff, and it can be a heavy burden, but God can ease the mind and say, listen, I've got it all taken care of. Don't worry. Okay, because worrying is a sin, as he says in the Bible. Worrying is a sin. So songs like this is a great reminder to don't worry, because God has it all in his controlling and wonderful and loving, caring hands. Okay, so get those lyrics handy and get them out, and let's sing "Oh Paradise." Oh paradise, oh paradise, who doth not crave for rest, who would not seek the happy land, where they that love are blessed, where loyal hearts and true stand ever in the light, all rapture through and through in God's most holy sight. Oh paradise, the world is growing old. Who would not be at rest and free, where love is never cold, where loyal hearts and true stand ever in the light, all rapture through and through in God's most holy sight. Oh paradise, wherefore doth death delay? Bright death that is no welcome dawn of our eternal day, where loyal hearts and true stand ever in the light, all rapture through and through in God's most holy sight. Oh paradise, 'tis weary waiting here. I long to be where Jesus is, to feel, to see him near, where loyal hearts and true stand ever in the light, all rapture through and through in God's most holy sight. Oh paradise, I want to sin no more. I want to be as pure on earth as on thy spotless shore, where loyal hearts and true stand ever in the light, all raptured through and through in God's most holy sight. Oh paradise, I greatly long to see the special place my dearest Lord in love prepares for me, where loyal hearts and true stand ever in the light, all raptured through and through in God's most holy sight. Oh, paradise, oh, paradise, I feel 'twill not be long. Pay patience, I'm almost think I hear faint fragments of thy song, where loyal hearts and true stand ever in the light, all raptured through and through in God's most holy sight. Lord Jesus, King of paradise, oh, keep me in thy love and guide me to that happy land of perfect rest above, where loyal hearts and true stand ever in the light, all raptured through and through in God's most holy sight. And that was Oh Paradise. Everybody give yourselves a nice little round of applause, okay? Great job if you were able to follow along with that and sing along. If you weren't and you messed up a little bit or whatever, then go back to the video. Have those lyrics, excuse me, I can't speak, but have those lyrics handy and practice in repetition, okay? Such a beautiful song. I absolutely love it. It's actually probably my all top 10, even though I love all the hymnals that I do. That particular song happens to be one of my all favorite top 10 hymnals that I like to sing. You can definitely ask my wife and kids. I probably pick that song whenever we get together with our family. When I get together with them on Sundays, that's probably the one song that I pick to praise God with. I'm usually right there with, my kids are almost like, I think I know what Daddy's gonna pick, and it's gonna be Oh Paradise, and they look at each other and they laugh. Okay, but yeah, that's definitely one of my top 10 favorites there. But let's get to the core of our lesson, everybody. Here we go. Now it is time to get out our pencils, our manuscript books, notebooks. Okay, if you don't have manuscript, when I say manuscript, I mean this kind of notebook, okay, which is the same stuff that I was actually trying to use last time before we were cut off, okay, Wi-Fi wise, I should say. So I'm going to use the whiteboard this time so you can have a better look, not so much shaking of the camera like I was kind of doing there and blurriness that occurs with the camera, but you guys need to have those materials ready so you can write down everything, okay? So let's get to work. Let's do this. I'm going to stand up and adjust everything, and we will get right to it. Okay. And let's focus in. You can see me and the board. Okay. So I put up four measures, okay? I want you to write this, actually have this, start doing this, start actually copying this. Definitely write the treble clef at the beginning of your manuscript paper. Remember that the staff, the music staff has 5 lines and 4 spaces, okay? So we're starting with our treble clef, which are the higher notes, the higher range of notes. If you recall our video about 3 weeks ago, the video I did about 3 weeks ago, lesson I did 3 weeks ago, of the higher range of notes. Okay, so we're learning to read random notes in treble clef, and we're going to think about the formulas for our lines and for our spaces. Now, anybody who's seen the another previous video, the previous video about the treble clef lines, there is a formula, a word association, if you will. Okay, so when we think about our lines, we think about the word association. Every good boy does fine. Now, those words, okay, the first letters of each word, okay, we use to know what those letter names of those lines are, okay? And what constitutes a line note? I was looking for my marker here. What constitutes a line note? It's any note that so for instance, I'm going to be using whole notes here. Okay, it's any note where the line is running right through it. Okay, just like you have here. Notice the first, second, third line, the very third line, I wrote a whole note right there where the line runs right through it. Okay, so if a note is found, okay, where the line is running right through it, then we automatically lines formula. Again, that lines formula, okay, if you're not sure of what we're talking about, especially for you first-time viewers, it's a very good idea to review the video about treble clef. There was one separate video lesson about treble clef. Go back into my library there, okay, on this channel, and you should be able to find it very quickly, okay? But in any event, the lines formula is every good boy does fine, and we think of the first letters of each word, E, G, B, D, and F, okay? So how does that work? How exactly does that work? So we think about, first of all, the note is on a line. So we're thinking about location. That's the key word right there, okay? You know, remember that. Always first step, when we're trying to read a note, think about the location. The location here happens to be on the third line. The third line is running right through that whole note, okay? Then what you're going to do is you're going to establish, okay, if that's a line note, then we use the lines formula. Every good boy does fine. We're going to start from the bottom line right here, bottom line, and you're going to use that formula. You're going to recite those particular words by going from line to line until you get to the note, to the location of the note, so you can then figure out what is the letter name to that particular note, okay? And again, all letter names are in lines and spaces. So we're going to do that formula. Let's recite that. Starting from the bottom line, we go every good, okay, boy, okay, stop right there. Now I said every good boy, okay? The word boy lands on that third line. We don't need to go to the other ones where it's does and fine. We don't need to do that because we've already used that formula to get right up to that third note, that third line note, okay? Every good boy. And so therefore, if that is the word for the word boy, what automatically is the letter name to that particular note? It right there is you're going to write in uppercase, label it, okay? Label it right there as B, okay? Now, you might be thinking to yourself, okay, for some of you musicians out there, you might be thinking to yourself, well, okay, why are we going through the trouble of labeling them, okay? Why are we doing that? Well, the reason is because it's good practice to visually see it, okay? So if you have to write it, you know, this is a very good rule of thumb with anything. If you have to write stuff down, okay, then it actually helps you to remember what you're supposed to be doing, going through the steps, okay? Even the recitation of those particular, that formula. Every good boy, oh boy, that means it's a B, okay? So even that particular recitation, okay, allows you to go through the steps, okay, by saying it out loud and then having to write it, physically write it. That is definitely what's going to help your memory, okay, when it comes to how we read those notes. Furthermore, I've said this before, if you are a student who wants to become a music teacher, okay, all right, you want to become a music teacher, these are some of the things that you're going to have to teach your students in the same way, okay? You're going to have to teach them in the same process, the way I'm taking you guys through it. You're going to have to teach your students the same way. Elementary, whether you're an elementary music teacher, a middle school music teacher, high school music teacher, doesn't matter. You're going to be doing it kind of the way that I'm doing it. And I say kind of because everybody has their own style of teaching, okay? But for the most part, you're going to have sheets for your students, or, you know, or do some blackboard work like the way I'm doing right now. And so you want to take your students in the direction of understanding this concept, of having to use those word associations to get to reading those, whatever particular notes happens to be on the manuscript paper, okay? So that is our B. Again, we do that formula. Line note, it's a line note. We established that it's a line note, right? And so we go every good boy, and that boy is for B. You write an uppercase B. Always, you future music teachers, okay, always make sure you tell your students to write in uppercase, okay? If you tell them to write in uppercase, then they will, then it will be legible to you. I've seen students where they've they didn't listen to me. They they didn't listen to me. They went as far as to write a G. Okay, there was a note that happened to be a G, and they wrote it in lowercase. But then when they wrote it, I wasn't sure where they were coming from, because the G, because of their penmanship, because of the funny penmanship, it looked like an S to me. Okay, and so I had to go and ask, hey, so and so, what is this? Did you write an S? You know that our musical alphabet only goes from A through G, right? Okay, so is there going to be such thing as an S note? And he was like, well, Mr. C, I already know. That's not an S, that's a G. I'm like, really? Oh boy, that didn't look like a G to me. But everybody has their own penmanship. So for that very reason, when you write them in uppercase, you really can't get it wrong, not too often, or at least I haven't seen anybody the person with the weirdest penmanship, okay? I still have not seen anybody where they wrote an uppercase letter and I've mistaken it for something else. You see what I'm saying? But for some reason, the lowercase, when you write them in lowercase, it is possible to mistake it for something else. So be wary of that, okay? And make sure you get into this if you yourselves get into this good habit of using uppercase to identify those notes, then you'll be able to do that for anybody that you teach, whether you grow up to teach privately or in a music classroom. Okay, so very much take that into consideration, and let's get into those good habits. Always uppercase when we're labeling. Now, watch this. I'm going to. Oh no, I'm not going to use that marker. I want to use a black marker. Okay, and for this particular note, I'm going to now write this whole note there. Now, take a look at the location. Remember what I said. Step 1, establish location. Where is this note? Is it on a line? Is it on the line where the line is running through it, like the first example in the first measure? Or is it between two lines, which would make it a space note? Okay, that's the idea. So in this case, yes, it's in between those two lines. That makes it a space note. Okay, no lines are running right through it. We want to then now understand that we have to use what? The spaces formula. And what is the spaces formula? That's something we didn't review at the beginning. Okay, the spaces formula, okay, is the word what? Face. If you recall from the previous video, the word is face, okay? So we use the word face and we spell face, okay? Think of it this way. The best way to remember that is spaces formula for treble clef has to be a body part. Think of a body part, okay? Body part. Oh, what's the only body part that we're going to use? The face, okay? So here we're going to spell out the word face. Same concept where with the lines, we started from the bottom line and worked our way up to the note. We're going to start from the bottom space this time and work our way up to the note, right? So we spell out face. How do we spell face? F-A-C-E, okay? It just so happens the whole word spells out to the very top space right here within the staff, and that makes it our E note, okay? That's the idea. So what? We're going to write it uppercase or lowercase? Definitely uppercase. That's how we label that. Please make sure you have this down, guys, okay? All right, and go through the steps with me as we're identifying notes. So that is our E note, okay? So we established, first one, we established that this was a line note because the line ran right through it, okay? Then we established this one as a space note, okay? I don't like the way I wrote that lowercase e. All right, but it's a space note because the note happens to be between the two lines, okay? That's the idea there. So that is our space note. Now, let's do a couple more examples in treble clef, okay? Treble clef, I'm going to do this one. Okay, and then in the next one, I'm going to do this one. Okay, now notice the next two examples and the next two measures are notes that are outside, or they're not within the staff anymore. They're not within the 5 lines and the 4 spaces, okay? This one happens to be in a ledger line, say that, ledger line above the treble clef staff. Now, if you recall in our previous video, we had to, I gave you a particular letter name to that note, okay? But we may not remember it, okay? That might be something that, even though, yeah, I did ask you guys to make sure you memorize, and that's the best way to do it, to memorize those formulas, okay? And to memorize where there's location, especially when they're outside, like above or below the staff, the treble clef staff, then you have to memorize their location. But let's say you didn't, but let's say you do have in memorization your formulas, okay? Now, this I said was in the ledger line above the treble clef staff, right? There's an imaginary, when I say ledger line, there's an imaginary line that runs right along the top of the treble clef staff, okay? But still, we got to figure out what that letter name is. So let's go with our line's formula. This is a line note after all, right? Ledger line, meaning it's a line note. Why? Because that ledger line is going right through that particular whole note. So we do our ledger line, our line note formulas, which is, again, every good boy does fine. So we do this together. We recite it from the bottom line, take it all the way up. Every good boy does fine, okay? Now, fine ends up at the top line, right? But still, there's a whole ledger line above that top line. That's the note we have to find. So from there, if we know that this is our fine, our F for fine, our F line, we now have to revert to utilizing our common sense when it comes to alphabetical order, okay? Alphabetical order. So this top line here of the staff is fine for the F note. We got to go up another step in the space, okay? Right in the space right there. Now that space, if we go F, what comes right after F alphabetically? G, right? So G is right here, but now we need to go still up one more step to the ledger line. So we have F, G. Is it going to be, what comes after G? Is it, as we're going up, we're thinking of what goes after, right? So we go up one more step. G, is that going to be our H note? No, of course not, because why? Our musical alphabet only goes up to G. So what does that mean? That means it starts all over again. So if this is our F, G is the last note in our musical alphabet, we start all over again to what? A. That is our high A note, and we're going to label it as such. Okay, uppercase A. There you go, okay? So that is our A note. That is the highest note that we're dealing with. Notice as we go higher up in the staff, we're going in higher pitches, okay? So the higher the note is, the higher the pitch, okay? Take that into consideration, especially for our future lessons when we start really tackling the piano and reading the notes and playing them on the piano, okay? Now, we go to our last one right over here, okay? We have in the space below the treble clef, okay? Now, why? Why is that in a space? Do you see a ledger line like in the previous example? Do you see a ledger line going right through that note? Absolutely not. There is no ledger line. In fact, it's just underneath the bottom line, okay, which happens to be our what? Our E note, right? Because every good boy does fine. This line would be E, okay? So I've almost given you the answer to the next one, to this last example. If our line note is E, right, and this note is one step below the E, now are we going forward in the alphabet or are we going backward in the alphabet? Obviously, since it's one step lower from the E line, we're going backwards in the alphabet. We think in that sense. So we know by doing every good boy does fine, we know that this is our E line, E for every, okay? We now need to go one more step further down. What comes before E in the alphabet as we're going down? D, okay? And so you would label that as uppercase D. Okay, if this is E, again, if this is E, right? If this is E, one step down makes it D, all right? If this, coming back to the previous example, if this is our F line, it's the highest that we can go when it comes to our formulas, right? Every good boy does fine, okay? If this is F, we got to think in alphabetical order. So we go F, in the next space is G in the space, right? G in the space. We go up one more step into the ledger line. That is our A. F, G, A. Okay? Everybody got that? It's all about using those, let's put it this way. Why go through? What does it seem tedious right now using those formulas to find those notes that are below or above the staff? Well, I'll tell you this, not as tedious as it would be if you, let's say you knew that this was an E without a formula. That bottom line is E. Then guess what? In order to get that note without using formulas, you would have to go E. You would have to go from line to space. You'd have to go E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then A, and then finally arrive at the answer. But see, what those formulas do is that they let you arrive at the answer at a much quicker rate. Every good boy does fine. F, G, O must be A. You see what I'm saying? It is much faster to use the formulas, okay? And then think alphabetical order when you're going above or below the staff, okay? Think in alphabetical order so that you can then label the notes and read the notes as such, okay? And it'll be much quicker than having to go from line to space, line to space. You see what I'm saying? Those formulas, line notes, again, every good boy does fine, E, G, B, D, F, and then the space notes, face, F, A, C, E. Hey, you know, I didn't address this. If we were to, I did say that this was a space note, right? Because it's in the space below the treble clef. We could have understood that this was our F, right? Because remember, the spaces formula is face. We spell out the word face, F-A-C-E, right? So we go F for face. Well, if we did it that way, then guess what? It still would have been much quicker to do it that way, because then you would know this was F. You go a step below. You go a step from F below to your line. That would make it an E, because E comes before F, right? And then what comes before E now at the note? D. Okay? You see how that works? Those formulas are exactly what's going to save you a lot of tediation when it comes to reading those notes, okay? Guys, I hope you definitely got all of this down right now. I had just basically all we did was put some random notes, okay? This is something we didn't do in our previous videos. I showed you what those formulas were, but I didn't do any random notes for you to label, you know, using those formulas. That is how we put the practice into using those formulas. We use them so that we can read those notes much quicker, okay? So that is it for today, everybody. I hope you got a lot out of that. If you didn't get everything down just now, I know, you know, I go from back and forth. If you didn't, you can always replay this video and write everything down. Just replay the video, go through the lesson again, okay? And test yourself, by the way. Test yourself outside of this, okay? Take your manuscript paper or whatever, okay? Write some random notes and lines and different lines and spaces on the treble clef, and then label them. Try to use, I know you've probably written already the formulas down. If you've memorized them, or at least try to memorize them first, and then test yourself. Use those formulas by memory. Use those formulas, recite them, and then figure out what those letter names are. Just put in some random notes of your own and read. Practice that way, okay? Get a piece of sheet music later on if you can. Get a piece of sheet music, okay? Find the note heads. You'll see all kinds of quarter notes and eighth notes and things like that. You're going to see all those types of things. Use those same formulas to then label your own notes on your own piece of sheet music. And you can do it because it's your own sheet music, okay? Don't worry about getting pencil markings on that. Musicians do that all the time, okay? Next week, we're going to be all about the bass clef. We're going to do some random notes of bass clef, and we're going to utilize our bass clef formula. So practice with the other video, a previous video where I did about bass clef formulas, okay? Good boys do fine always, G, B, D, F, A, that's the lines for bass clef. And then for the spaces for bass clef is all cows eat grass, A, C, E, G, okay? So memorize those, okay? And then get ready for next week's lesson where we're going to label various notes. You know, I'm gonna mix them all up, lines and space notes, okay? And we're going to learn how to label those guys, okay? Otherwise, everybody, I hope you got a lot out of this, and fantastic job, good hard work, okay? Do want to give some regular shout out, all of my friends in Sri Lanka, my friends in India and the Philippines, and of course in China and Japan, as well as the UK, as well as Australia, all my friends in Australia, my friends in South America, various countries, South America, and also in the United States, guys. Thank you for all of your support. Please don't forget to click subscribe at the bottom of the screen. Click subscribe and like and share these videos. And also, after you click subscribe, click the notifications bell, okay? So that this way you can be aware of the next upcoming lessons that will happen, okay? Otherwise, everybody, great job today. Give yourselves another round of applause. A round of applause. Okay, something I do with the elementary kids. They love it. They love going like this in circles. Okay, I love it too. I would be lying if I said I didn't. So, okay, hey, to each his own, right? Okay, but in any event, guys, great job today, and I will see you guys next time. And as always, I wish you happy practicing. Everybody take care. Have a great one. Bye-bye.